I'm a Thermomix advisor and team leader here in Sussex. I became a Thermomix advisor 10 years ago because I bought my Thermomix a year before and I fell so in love with it. I was so amazed at how much it could do and how it changed our lives that I wanted to get involved with the company and share the love. Thermomix is made by a company called Vorbeck. It's a family-owned company that started in the late 1800s. It's the third largest direct sales company in the world at the moment, and it has been selling Thermomix since 1961, so a very long time, and it has come a long way. Our new TM6 was released in June 2019 with over 20 functions in your kitchen in one neat appliance. This smart, eco-friendly gadget is a life-changing appliance in your home, and I would like to show you. I'd like to tell you about the benefits of having a Thermomix in your home. One of them is time-saving. Its fast method of cooking means that you will be cooking your dinners and your lunches and everything much quicker than on the hob or other conventional methods. A bolognese sauce or a risotto only takes 20 minutes, for example. It also has a very, very powerful motor. So all your milling and grinding, even chopping some onions just takes 3 seconds. So all your prep time will be shortened significantly. It is also a very healthy appliance because you will be making everything from scratch, and that means you're providing homemade healthy foods to your family in a fraction of the time. It is money saving, of course, because by making your own ingredients, by grinding your own flours, by making your own homemade bread, pasta sauces, you will be saving a lot of money. It's also cheaper than cooking by induction, so your energy bills will be substantially less. Plus, it's an eco-friendly appliance. By buying our fresh ingredients, we are using less plastics. We're also using less water as it's self-cleaning. So there are huge savings to be had as a whole. It is so easy to use, and that's another thing I love about it. It's hands-free, which means if you're looking after children at home, you can just put dinner on and walk away. There are no complicated programs to think about, but the great thing is Cookie-Doo. Cookie-Doo is a gigantic recipe portal that you can access. You can not only access the UK one, but also the recipe portal of the whole world. All the countries in the world that use Thermomix, you'll be able to access. And I would say there's over 50,000 recipes at the moment, and they are continuously publishing new recipes all the time. So this is our Thermomix. Our Thermomix is basically, most things are cooked in this bowl. It has 4 blades, different sizes, different heights. They're very clever. If something gets stuck, it goes backwards and unsticks itself and then carries on. Very good quality stainless steel. This goes into the body of our Thermomix. We have a lid. We have a measuring cup that actually serves as an anti-splash guard, and a few other uses that I will come to later on. We also have another splash guard. This is used when we need air to come into our cooking, but we don't want all the cooking to splash all over our kitchen cupboards. We also have an internal steaming basket, which goes inside. We can steam vegetables, we can steam fish or meats, rice, but we can also do things like mulled wine and put the spices in there, and then it comes out and all the bits will be inside. So very versatile as well. We have a spatula, which I will talk about in our second recipe. We have a butterfly whisk, great for meringues and whipped cream, and amazing mashed potato in just 10 seconds. We also have our Varoma, which is the name of our steamer that goes on top. Our steamer has 2 different layers. With our steamer, we can do what we call multi-layer cooking, which is we could have our simmering basket in here with rice or potatoes. We could have some vegetables in here and some fish on the top, and in 20 minutes we have a whole meal cooked. Finally, I'd like to talk about an attachment that actually doesn't come with your Thermomix when you purchase it. It was released recently in the last few months. It's not something you will need to use every single day, so it's only worth purchasing if you use a sous vide or if you like slow cooking, which is one of our new functions. The blade cover goes inside to cover our blades so that the pieces that we have inside don't get chopped by the blade. And if you'd like more information on the blade cover, I can speak to you personally and cover this. Welcome to our Cookie Do tutorial. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to use a search engine. I'm going to put a word here, chicken. It could be a category like soup or starter or vegan or low carb, for example. As I have chosen the word chicken, we can now see lots of recipes in the UK portal, just over 200 recipes. If I untick United Kingdom, we have many more chicken recipes because this means we are searching every country now and not just the UK. If I press on the top and click on collections, we can now see all chicken related collections and books from every country. If I go back and click again, I can now choose articles. As you know, Cookie Do is also a blog, and we can see all articles that have been published and are relating to chicken. Wonderful. I am now going to go back to recipes, and we're going to take away the word chicken and press search. Now I'm going to go into filters. What I can do is I can filter by language or by specific country. If I press on English, now I have all English speaking recipes or collections or articles. If I filter again, I can choose a specific country, like for example, Spain. I have now ticked Spain, and I can see all Spanish recipes from the Spanish recipe portal. I can choose collections, and again, I can see all the Spanish collections and books that have been previously published. And if I click again, I can also see articles published on the Spanish recipe portal. Wonderful. So let's go back to the main screen. If we scroll down past the search engine, you will be able to see we have things like top picks, which is related to the things that you have been searching, so it's catered to you. Latest recipes. If we keep going down, you will find there is information, most cooked recipes this week. If we keep going down, we have our blog section where we have plenty of articles. If you go sideways, you will be able to see previously published articles. If we clicked on the current article, Kickstart 2021, you will see there is plenty of inspiration and recipes to get you started for a healthy new year. If we go back, there we go. Lots of inspiration for you and ideas. It's really nice to just sit down with a cup of tea and have a look through these articles. We also have a new feature, which is some videos from our lovely pastry chef Camilla, teaching us how to make perfect pastry. We have another selection of all our collections and books. You will find the ones that have recently been published here. If we click into our Christmas book, the reason we know it is a book and not a collection is because of the amount of recipes. A book will have plenty of recipes, a collection will only have between 8 and 12 recipes. If we keep scrolling down, you'll find more inspiration, etc. So have a little browse and get yourself acquainted with the site. Now we're going to choose a recipe that we would like to send to our Thermomix screen. If we look down, if we scroll down, we'll be able to see ingredients, preparation. If we keep going down, on the left, we will find nutritional value of every single recipe. And if we keep going down, we'll be able to find things like hints and tips, useful items, and also at the very bottom, where this recipe comes from, whether it originates from a book or from a collection, and some more inspiration at the bottom of similar recipes. Let's go back to the top. Now we're going to save this recipe into one of my collection. As you can see, you can create your own collections. And I'm now going to add this to my vegan collection. Wonderful. Here we go. Vegan. Okay, now I would like to add it to my weekly planner. So I'm going to pop it on the 9th, save, and it's added to my weekly planner. I'd also like to add the ingredients to my shopping list, so I'll do so now. If I click on my recipes at the top, I will be able to see all my created collections. And if I head down to vegan, you'll be able to see where I've just added this new recipe. Here we are. If I click on saved collections, these are whole collections or books that I have saved or purchased previously. If I click on my week at the very top, I will go into my weekly planner where you can see I've just added this new recipe. On the side, we have our shopping list. If we click on shopping list, we will be able to see our shopping list by category or by recipe. If we go to the top, we can click on share, we can print this recipe, we can email it, we can copy and paste onto notes, we can share it in different ways. Or you can order directly to a shop. I'm clicking on Tesco here. And as you can see in Tesco, you can swap your ingredients and then you can even add other items to your shopping so you can do the full shopping list. You will need to be registered with the retailer before. And here we are. This is how easy it is to use, search and navigate through CookieDo. Enjoy. So now we're going to start cooking with our Thermomix. But before we do that, I just want to run through our different screens. This is our home screen. And as you can see, it has 3 circles. And what these are the 3 elements that we use when cooking with a Thermomix, which mean actually it's really simple to use. And even if you're not following the recipes from CookieDo and Guided Cooking, it is still very, very user friendly. Now the first circle is our timer. So we can put the timer up and down. One of the safety features of our timer is that when we use the temperature function, we always have to have the timer on. As it's a hands-free appliance, you won't walk away and forget that you're cooking something. Our second circle is our temperature. Now, this is one of the amazing things about Thermomix, and it's the fact that you have very, very precise temperatures. When you cook on the hob, you cannot control the temperatures, which is why we turn our gas up, we turn our gas down, we have to stir quite quickly. Of course, with our Thermomix, we have perfect temperatures all the time, which means the consistency of our cooking is always the same. So if you make something like a white sauce or a custard, you will always get the same consistency. And of course, it stirs for you, so you don't have to stand there stirring, which is amazing. Our lower temperatures are great for activating yeast when we make bread, and also for melting chocolate and tempering chocolate. And it goes all the way to Varoma temperature, which is when we use our Varoma, our steamer on top. But this new TM6 also goes all the way to 160 degrees, very, very high temperatures. We can make honeycomb, we can make toffee, and we can do things like caramelized onions. And then finally, we are looking at the speed. Now, the speed selector is what helps us understand what we're making in our Thermomix. So let me pop the lid on so I can show you. So our first speed would be a spoon stirring speed, so we can stir fry prawns. But if we stir it up all the way to 10, we can then crash ice in 3 seconds. So basically the speeds determine what we're making in our Thermomix, what we're doing, whether we're crushing, mincing, emulsifying, or simply stirring. If we go to the left, we're going to find 2 screens that have lots of functions on them. Now, we can see functions like scale. It has inbuilt scales. We have a dough button for when we make bread or if we need pastry. A turbo button, which is for short burst of very strong power. We have a pre-clean function. Yes, Thermomix does clean itself, and we will elaborate more a little bit later. We have a kettle function, fantastic because it has a controlled temperature. A blend function for our soups. A slow cooking function where we can use slow cooking mode. A sous vide, which is a water bath, so excellent for sous videing fillet steak, fish, or even poached eggs. Our fermentation button, which is fantastic for jams, chutneys, and even some forms of bread. We have a rice cooker, and we also have our thicken function, which is also fantastic for custards and white sauces and hollandaise sauces, etc. Now, all these features come up automatically when we use the guided cooking, but if we're using manual cooking, we would have to come to the screen and press them like so. Now, let's come out of this screen. Now, the middle screen is our home screen again, but if we go to this side, we now have cookie dough. Now, cookie dough is exactly the same as you find it on your devices, on your laptop, the only thing we cannot do on our Thermomix regarding cookie dough is save categories. So we cannot save any collections or any books in our categories, but we can search other countries, and then we can press cook today and you can start cooking straight away. Giga? See? So now we're going to cook our first recipe. Now, to find our first recipe in guided cooking, I'm going to use the 3 lines here at the top left corner. Go into my recipes, created collections, and I'm going to go into my advisor cooking experience collection where I've saved. And I'm going to find cheesy triangle scones. Here we go. If I press this little arrow down here, it will give me a lot of information about the recipe, ingredients and preparation. If I keep scrolling down, it also gives me the nutritional value of every single recipe, which is fantastic. Utensils, hints and tips, variations. So we go all the way back up, and we're going to press start cooking now. Preheat the oven to 220. So I'm doing that like right now. As you can see, it's given you the instructions every single step. We press next, line a large baking tray, which I have done already. So that's here ready to go. We're going to press next. Now the scales have come up automatically and it's asking us to weigh in our self-raising flour. So I shall do that now. So 450 grams. A little bit more. A little bit more. Hey, almost perfect. We press next. And now it's asking us for 120 grams of unsalted butter. I've already diced it, ready to go. So let's pop it all in here. 70, 80. Now, this is what I love about Thermomix, really, the fact that it weighs for you. It's so much less messy than having to have separate scales and weigh and use other plates or anything. It's fantastic. We press next. Now I need a teaspoon of baking powder. So I shall use my teaspoon. There we are. Press next. As you can see, we keep pressing next all the while until it gives us the next instruction. Pinch of salt in there. Keep pressing next. Okay, so insert the measuring cup. So we're going to put the lid on and the measuring cup on as well. And we're going to press next. Now, this is our turbo function. This is one of the functions I showed you earlier on in the screen. Now, if we press here, we can change to 2 seconds or we can change it to 0.5 second. Now, most recipes 1 second is the standard. All we have to do is turn our speed selector 5 or 6 times until rough breadcrumbs. So, 1, 3, and 1 more. 5. Wonderful. Let's press next. Now, when this opens, I just want to show you how in 5 seconds it has been turned into breadcrumbs. Can you see how quickly?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So now we're going to add our cheddar cheese, which I have ready here. So, as you can see, because I took the lid off, the scales have now minus. If I press the tear button, they will go back to 0 and I can start weighing my cheese. So that's a good tip. Always have a look at your scales, make sure they are back to 0 before you start weighing. There we are. And 1 more. That's right, tiny bit more, doesn't really matter. Press next. Insert the measuring cup, which I've done already. Now we have the turbo button on again, and this time it says turn the speed selector 3 times, so I shall do that now. Wonderful. Okay, so now we need to add some milk. Let's turn this off. Now, let me show you in 3 seconds how it's chopped the cheese in the bowl. How quick is that? It just shows how powerful this motor is. We're talking about 10,700 RPM per minute. So everything is done really quickly and really efficiently. Now let's put our scales back to 0 and we're going to start adding the milk. There we go, I'll get a new one. So here we go. 250. A little bit more. There we go, almost perfect. Pop the measuring cup and the lid on again. Press next. And it says turn the speed selector to speed 4, and we have a little green shadow there telling us where number 4 would be. Wonderful. Okay, so what it's saying to us is with the measuring cup still in place, you press next, And now another function has come up automatically, which is our dough button, our dough function. So this is the function that we use for kneading bread or pastries or obviously scones. So 30 seconds, turn the speed selector, and that is now kneading our lovely scones. This is so much easier than kneading anything by hand, especially bread. I mean, you need at least a good 20 minutes to get a loaf ready to rise, and you can have a loaf of bread ready within 3 to 4 minutes ready to rise. You can make so many different variations of bread as well. It's just wonderful. Lovely. So here we go. Let's have a look. Now that's our lovely bread kneaded. Okay, now this is how we take dough out of our Thermomix. We take the bottom off, we let it all fall by its own weight, and as you can see, it's pretty clean inside. It comes out really well. And then we just take the dough from as much as you can from the blades. There we go, without cutting yourself. And now we're just going to press this into a rectangular shape with our fingers. We don't want to work with our dough too much because scones are famous for not rising if we do too much with them. So I think that would be enough. If we press next, you can see it's telling you exactly what to do. Okay, so let's shape the scones. No cutters needed. Very carefully with a knife, like so. We're going to give them a lovely triangle shape. Now, before we pop them in the oven, you have two options. One is to pop them in the oven exactly like this. Another one is to separate them a little bit if you would like the sides of the scone to also brown. Just be very careful, treat them very delicately, like so. And I'll separate half and I'll leave the other half, whoops, together so you can see the difference when they bake. There we go. Okay, so these are ready to go in the oven. It's telling us to bake them for 15 to 18 minutes and they are going in now. Wonderful. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of things now. One is how to put our bowl back together. As you can see, the little flap is here on the side and we're going to pop the blades inside, and then with our thumb we simply close that, and that is how simple it is to put this bowl back together. I'm going to show you how to clean this bowl now. Now, there are different ways of cleaning Thermomix, but all of them are very quick and very easy. It all depends how dirty it is, and you should be the judge of how you would like to clean your Thermomix. The first thing I need to do is place half a bowl of water with a tiny drop of fairy, and I do mean just a tiny drop of fairy. Okay, so here's our bowl with water and our tiny drop of fairy. I'm going to pop this on. Let's come out of this recipe now. Okay, so the magic number is 6. Anything speed 6 or above will clean our Thermomix quite well. It will clean the lid also and the top of our bowl. So if I put approximately 10 seconds at speed 6, I would say I use this method probably about 75% of the time. It does give it all quite a thorough clean inside. It really cleans the blades well, and then all you need is a brush and your sink, and rinse it out. Now, if you feel that you like to give it a more thorough clean, say for example we've made risotto, it's glutinous, it's got cheese, so sometimes you need a more thorough clean for that. Or if, say for example, you make some honeycomb or toffee or even chocolate, which will go cold at the bottom. So we have in our functions a pre-clean function. Now what this function is, it's a smart function that will try and guess how dirty a Thermomix is and how long the water needs to heat up for. So if we have something like honeycomb at the bottom or chocolate that's gone cold and hard, it will heat the water enough to melt that and then be able to get it nice and clean. So if we press this, now this will now just start assessing how dirty our bowl is and how long it needs to clean. Now because our bowl isn't that dirty, we've only just made the scones in there, it's probably gonna only take about a minute to do the whole process. Whereas if it had hard chocolate at the bottom, or as I said, toffee or honeycomb, it could take up to about 5 minutes to give it a really, really thorough clean. Now with this process, it's just assessing now, it's heating the water up, and then in a few minutes, the blades will start going faster and faster to give it a more thorough clean. I'm going to stop it here now because I'd like to show you a third method that I love to use for cleaning. If I go back to the home page and I go into the functions, I like to use the kettle. I simply like to boil water in my Thermomix. It gives it a really thorough clean, and if I've cooked something greasy, maybe buttercream for a cake or mayonnaise, the boiling water will melt this and really give it a really, really good clean, and also sterilize it at the same time. So I will still have half a bowl of water, still the little drop of fairy, and I simply pop my kettle on and let the water boil. And at the very end, I would still turn my speed selector to speed 6 to give it a really good whiz around and also clean the lid. Okay, so this is my third method of cleaning. Okay, so these are our beautiful cheese scones that have just come out of the oven. Now, as you can see, the ones we separated have got a little bit browner on the edges. The ones that we kept together, they're just whiter inside. Now, it doesn't really matter what you do. It's a case of preference, whichever you prefer. But I'm just going to open one of these warm scones up so you can see how beautiful they look inside. Oh my gosh, I wish you could smell this right now. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so these are our beautiful cheese scones that have just come out of the oven. Now, as you can see, the ones we separated have got a little bit browner on the edges. The ones that we kept together, they're just whiter inside. Now, it doesn't really matter what you do. It's a case of preference, whichever you prefer. But I'm just going to open one of these warm scones up so you can see how beautiful they look inside. Oh my gosh, I wish you could smell this right now. Absolutely amazing. Hello there. We're now going to make a smoothie and then we're going to turn it into a gelato. So let's find our recipe again in our guided cooking. This time, before we've been into my recipes, there are other features where we can find our recipes like my week. If you're using your weekly planner, every time you add a recipe on your weekly planner, it will come up here. So I've only got one recipe in my weekly planner. Let's go back again. Recently cooked is also another way that you can find. So if it's recipes that you cook a lot of the time, or if you know you've cooked it recently, it will be there. So let's have a look and see if we can find, I think it might be here, the frozen fruit sorbet. Yep, here we are. I make this very often at home. It's quite a staple. My kids love it and it's so healthy. So let's start cooking. Right, the first thing we're going to add is some sugar. It says 60 to 100 grams, which means it's to taste. It really depends what fruits you're using as well. If you use frozen banana, that's going to bring natural sweetness, so you don't need as much sugar. I tend to go for about 60 grams. But again, it depends on your taste and on the fruits that you're using, because some are tartar than others. So let's press next and insert the lid and the measuring cup. Press next. It says 10 seconds, turn the speed selector to speed 10. So we're going to grind our sugar down now. Amazing. Now let's have a quick look before we add the rest of the ingredients. Okay, so we have ground our sugar down because we're making a cold item. So if you're making homemade lemonade or ice cream or sorbet or smoothies, if you actually grind the sugar down first, it will dissolve a lot better. Now, this just shows how powerful this motor is and the amount of savings that can be had. Now, regular sugar is anything between 60 and maybe 90p, but icing sugar is 3 or 4 times more that amount. And all it is ground up sugar. So you can make your own caster and icing sugars at home for a fraction of the price. Other things we can use in our with our milling and grinding function would be all sorts of flours from any grain, chickpea flour, rice flour, popcorn flour, buckwheat flour, you name it. Spices, you can buy whole cinnamon and actually grind it yourself. You could put 6 to 8 whole nutmegs in here and in 20 seconds it would be turned into powder. This is how powerful it is. Your own coffee beans as well for your coffee machines. And you can, if you put less time or less speed, there will be coarser. If you like your coffee beans finer, then you set it up higher and it will make them finer. So you do still have a lot of control on how you get. So let's carry on with our recipe. I am now going to, I can't find my spatula at the moment. I'll have a quick look. So I'm using another silicone spatula. So I've just got all the sugar down and now we're going to add our mixed fruit. Okay. So 500 grams, I'm going to tear it. Add the fruit in here. Okay, it looks like that's just about right. Perfect. In goes the fruit. We press next. Now we need 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. Now I'm going to show you a little trick. Here is our measuring cup. It's called measuring cup because it has 50 ml or 100 ml. So if you need to add any liquid whatsoever, you can use this measurement. Obviously it has a sort of flap so that things don't jump out, you know, just to protect. However, it is open because when we cook with Thermomix, we need the steam to come out because it's not a pressure cooker. So it's really important that the steam comes out. Another quirky feature of our measuring cup is that, for example, if you follow a mayonnaise recipe, the mayonnaise will ask you to pour the oil on the lid and then the oil will trickle at the perfect amount to make the most beautiful mayonnaise. So the recipe asks for lemon juice. I'm going to juice my lemons on the lid, and what's going to happen is that the pips will stay on the lid while the juice will go into the bowl. Again, it's saving us using any other attachments, any other appliances in our kitchen, which means less washing to do basically. So I've got all the pips on the lid here. In fact, let me use a spoon. Let me get these pips out so they don't go into the bowl when I open the lid. Here we go. All our pips back into the lemon, and we can put that to one side. Let's keep going. So 1 egg white. Now, why do we put egg white in a sorbet? Well, one of the reasons is egg white stops your sorbet going rock hard when it goes in the freezer. Professionals tend to use glycerin, but egg white is actually a natural way for your sorbet or your ice creams not to go rock hard in the freezer, like so. Okay, wonderful. We're going to keep going. So here is our spatula, who my cameraman very kindly found for me. So this is the official spatula that comes with your Thermomix. It's silicone here at the bottom, so very easy to scrape the sides and also around the blades. Now the reason it has this little hook here is because, let's click here to all our other attachments. Now this is our simmering basket which goes inside. We can use it to steam rice, potatoes, all sorts of vegetables. We could use it, for example, to make mulled wine. The spices go inside, and then when you take the basket out, all the spices are in here. Chai tea, wonderful. Now, when this is very hot inside your bowl, you really don't want to stick your hands inside. So our spatula becomes a handle. So very clever. Put that to one side. Now, it also has this kind of flap, which means the spatula doesn't touch your kitchen work surface, making it more hygienic. But also, this flap means that you can pop it inside your Thermomix and it will not touch the blades. It's the only thing you can put in your Thermomix that won't touch the blades while it's working. There aren't many recipes you'll need to do this, but certainly with your sorbet you will, and it's well worth the while. So our instructions say insert the spatula through the hole in the mixing bowl lid, and then we have to help it churn with the spatula. I'm just going to stop this, have a quick look inside. Sometimes you can hear if something is ready or not, so it's always good to have a quick look, scrape the sides down just in case, and it does need a little bit more. If you don't like pips in mixed fruit, you can always turn the speed up a little bit more to break down those pips. Okay, here we go. Now this is our sorbet ready to try. Now, such a shame you can't taste this, but have a look at that. Okay, now this is beautiful. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get my cameraman, which is my lovely daughter, to have a taste and let us know what she thinks. There you go. Would you like to try that?
Yep. Good.
Is it good?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Now, let me show you a little trick. Okay, so we finished our sorbet recipe. However, we are going to make a little well in the center here, like so. There's a little prod in the center of the blades, and that means we're going to use our butterfly whisk. Now, our butterfly whisk, fantastic for whipping cream in literally 30 seconds, wonderful meringue, and also mashed potato in 10 seconds, most beautiful creamy mashed potato. But let's use it here now. So I'm going to pop it in the center there, okay? And let's put this back onto our Thermomix, lid on. And now we're going to do something manually. So I'm going to add 30 seconds onto the timer at speed 4. Your butterfly whisk cannot go any higher than speed 4. You can find this in your instructions and also on the whisk itself. So have a look at that. Can you see the change in colour? It's become fluffier, it's creamier, and it's more like an Italian gelato now. And that's all by churning your ice cream a little bit stronger at speed 4. Now, let's get my lovely helper to taste it and see what she thinks of the new flavour. There we go, dig in. Which one do you prefer? The sorbet or the gelato?
Gelato.
Why do you prefer the gelato?
It's less sour.
It's less sour. And has the texture changed at all?
More airy.
It's airy, so it's creamier as well. I think children really tend to prefer this gelato style. And would you like a bowl and have some more? And gelato style. And actually most adults prefer it as well, but you know, it's all to taste. So wish you could taste it, but trust me, my little helper assures me that it's delicious. So thanks for watching. So I just want to show you a little tip. I've emptied most of my sorbet. There's a little bit at the bottom, which is hard to get outside the blade. So this is a little trick to show you how to get all of the products. So anytime you have anything left around the blades that you can't get out properly. Now, all you need to do is go into your functions and use the turbo button and turn that once. Okay, we have to leave the function to be able to open the lid. And there we go. Our blades have been clean in 1 second. And that way you can just take the rest of the product out and no waste. Now, another trick that I also like to use when I make a sorbet and there's some left in the bowl is add some milk and turn it into a milkshake. So now we're going to make an asparagus risotto. This is how I find my recipe, which is in Created Collections. In my advisor collection, I have asparagus risotto. We're going to start cooking and we're going to add 60 grams of Parmesan cheese. As you can see, the scales come up automatically. I have already weighed the cheese just to make things a little bit easier, and it weighed really precisely. So here we go. So we press next, we pop the lid and the measuring cup on. As you can see, the picture is also telling you what you need to do. So it makes it actually quite easy to follow recipes from other countries, you know, like Spanish recipes or Italian recipes, as long as you Google the ingredients. Very easy to use guided cooking. So 10 seconds, speed 10, and it says turn the speed selector to speed 10. It also has a green shadow all the way around to speed 10. Okay, so this is our grated Parmesan cheese. Now we're going to tip our Parmesan and save it for later. And I just want to show you how to make the most of the bowl. So make sure you get all the sides clean, and then we're going to tip it all out from the side like so. Okay. No need to clean the bowl while we continue with this recipe. So we press next. Have I missed? Oh no, I transferred it. Oh yes, I know what's coming next. Okay, so I need to place a bowl so that I can weigh something on our measuring. Completely lost that. So we press next again. We place a bowl on our measuring lid. We press next, and we are going to weigh 250 grams of asparagus on our bowl. Oh, a few more. Can take a couple of. Doesn't really matter if you have a few extra, to be honest. So I might just leave that extra one on. and we shall take this off. So this just shows you that you can use your Thermomix as a set of scales even when you're not using your Thermomix. They are a set of scales. Just pop any bowl on and measure away. We press next. So we're going to cut off the asparagus tips. Put this over here. And I'm going to pop the asparagus tip on my Varoma on the top layer. Okay. Here we go. And then the stalks need to be added into our Thermomix bowl. So I shall pop these aside for the time being. And now these will be added to our bowl. By the way, earlier on I washed these asparagus on my Varoma here. I used them here and then I put the lid underneath, and that stops the water going all over your surfaces. So we press next. Now that we've done that, we've added the asparagus stalk, so we press next. Now we need 50 grams of half shallots, which I have here. I did weigh and chop before to make this a little bit swifter for us. We press next, and then I'm going to add some olive oil. So as you can see, the scales come up automatically. We don't need to worry too much about pressing. And that should be close to 20 now, hopefully. A tiny bit more. We press next, and we need the lid. Keep pressing next, and now we have 5 seconds. Turn our speed selector to speed 5, and that's going to chop. So we're going to scrape inside. Let's have a look. So that's our onions and our asparagus chopped. As you can see, that took 5 seconds. Anytime you need to chop onions, peppers, any prep, it's 3 to 5 minutes. So you can imagine how time saving that is. So just scraping the sides down. We're going to put it back on. Press next, insert the measuring cup, which is done already, and now we're going to be sautéing for 3 minutes, 120, speed 1. So let's have a look. We can press our speed selector to stop the sound, or next. This is our beautiful onions and asparagus stalks. They've just been sauteed to perfection, hands-free. You don't have to stand there. And this is why I love the controlled temperatures, because you can't control the temperature on a hob, but Thermomix is wonderful at controlling the temperatures, and nothing will ever burn, sauces won't curdle, and you'll always get the same consistency. So let's press next. So now we're going to add some white wine. As you can see, because I've taken the lid off, the scales have been minused. If I press tear, we now get them down to 0. So 200 grams of white wine. Oh, just slightly under, which is fine. We're going to press next. So now we need our risotto rice. 250 grams. Will I have enough in this packet, or do I need to open the other one? Oh, just slightly under. Ever so slightly under. I think what I might do, instead of opening another packet, I'm just going to add a little bit tiny less liquid, and that way I don't have a packet open. So it's telling us to do this without the measuring cup. Why? Because we need the air to come in so that the wine, the alcohol in the wine can evaporate. So let's pop that here. 2 minutes, 120°, and turn the speed. Okay, so while this is cooking, I would like to tell you a little bit about the book that comes with your Thermomix when it arrives. So this book is full of inspiration. All the recipes are actually already pre-installed inside your Thermomix, but it gives you really good tips and tricks on how to make a lot of these recipes. So please have a look through it. At the very beginning, there is a lot of information for you about Thermomix itself. So these pages are quite important, about all the attachments that come with it, how to use your own recipes in Thermomix, how to convert them to Thermomix recipes, how all the functions work. And then what I really like is at the very, very end here, we have a guide. So say, for example, you would like to chop some vegetables like onions or carrots. It tells you here the maximum and minimum amounts, your time and your speed. Here, for example, you have things like breadcrumbs, grated chocolate. If we keep looking through the pages, we have how to mill and grind, so how to make all your flours. Remember, you can make flours out of chickpeas, out of any grain, out of lentils, coffee beans as well. Fantastic for coffee beans because you can grind them to your own specifications. So whether you like the coffee beans coarser or whether you like them finer, you can choose how you want them. And then here you have your steaming function. So say you just want to steam some vegetables to go with a meal. Here it tells you your quantities and your timings. Remember that steaming is not just for vegetables. We can also steam fish and meat. We can steam a whole chicken inside of Aroma. We can make roast beef inside of Aroma. So it's much more versatile than you think, and I'll talk a little bit about the Aroma later on. Okay, so now we have press next. It's telling us to scrape the bottom a little bit just to make sure that there isn't any rice stuck around the blades. So just very briefly like so. We press next, and now we're going to add some stock. Now I'm using my homemade vegetable stock. This is in the book I've just shown you. This stock is amazing. It just uses all sorts of lovely vegetables, lots of herbs and spices, plenty of salt. It's very concentrated, and also Parmesan cheese. I'm going to use my spatula to add a heaped teaspoon. And then, even though the recipe says hot water, I always add cold and then maybe add another minute to the cooking, so I don't have to worry about boiling the kettle because, well, I like to save energy where I can. So we're going to add up to about 4. I think that's enough because I had 10 grams less of rice, so I'll put a little bit less water in it, a little bit of fine sea salt, so you will be able to taste and check your seasoning at the very end. We press next, and we also have some ground pepper. And now it's telling us to insert our lid. Now, what I would like to do is I'm going to do a little variation to this recipe. And these are the lovely asparagus tips that we chopped earlier on, okay? And I'm going to put them on top of here. So they are going to cook while the risotto's cooking. And then we're going to add them to our risotto at the end. So 12 minutes, speed 1. 100C. Now let me tell you a little bit about our Varoma. Now our Varoma, as I said before, very, very versatile, not just for steamed vegetables. We can steam breads, cakes, puddings, amazing for puddings. I love spotted dickon in the Varoma, much quicker, much easier than using a double boiler. Creme caramel, wonderful. You can reheat up food, you can warm your plates. You can be making something for dinner for the following day. So say, for example, the following day, you know you're making cauliflower cheese. You could cook your cauliflower while you're making dinner the night before. And that way it's ready in the fridge. So you just have to make the cheese sauce, pour it on top and pop it in the oven to finish cooking. So the Varoma is very, very versatile. It's ideal for families of 2 or 3 because you can do your multi-layer cooking, like I mentioned before, which is vegetables and potatoes in your bowl. You could have vegetables in this middle tier, and in the top you could have some fish or any other ingredient to make wholesome meal. Another recipe that I love with the Varoma is mussels. You can be steaming your mussels in your Varoma while cooking a lovely sauce at the bottom, and all the juices of the mussels will go down underneath. Really versatile tool, and a lot of my customers forget to use a Varoma, so I always tell them off and say, please make sure you look in Cookie Dough and you check out all the Varoma ingredients. We're going to let this cook now, and I'll come back to you at the end. Thank you. As you can see, we have a cool down feature. This is another safety feature. Wonderful. So, very carefully, we're going to take the lid off our varoma like so, because it will be very hot inside. I'd like to show you, look at the beautiful, beautiful colour that the asparagus tips have now. I'm going to put them, as I mentioned before, on the lid so we don't get liquid all over our kitchen worktop. So now the instructions are telling us to check to see the rice is cooked. If it's not cooked, cook it for another 2 to 5 minutes depending, and it should be slightly sloopy at this stage. We still have some ingredients to add, so let me show you what we have. Our beautifully cooked risotto in 12 minutes. Let me take a spoon so we can taste. Now, I've got my daughter playing as cameraman today, so I'm going to get her to taste and tell me if this is al dente. Do you think it's cooked? Does it need more time?
No, it's good.
Perfect, thank you very much. So we're going to put this back on, press and add the reserved asparagus tips. So they are going inside. We're going to press next. Now it's time to add the reserved parmesan. Perfect. We keep pressing next all the time, and now we have 20 grams of butter, which I weighed out earlier on. Keep pressing next, and now we have to stir these ingredients with the spatula. So we'll just make sure that it's all well incorporated, all this lovely parmesan and all the butter. There we go. Oh my gosh, it smells amazing. This is the hard thing about having virtual cooking experiences, is that you cannot smell these amazing smells. Okie doke. So we're going to press next again. Now it's telling us to taste the risotto and adjust for seasoning, which I think here, was it okay for salt? Do you think it needed more? Remember, the parmesan adds sweet saltness as well, so we don't want to over salt it. And now we're going to let it rest for 2 minutes. The parmesan's going to melt, the butter's going to melt. It's going to create that creamy risotto that we all love. And that's how easy it is to make an asparagus risotto with our Thermomix. So just to recap, we've made some cheese scones today. We made the beautiful sorbet, which we turned into a gelato, and now we made an asparagus risotto. Now this has all taken less than an hour to make today. It's a beautiful 3-course meal, and it just shows you the power of Thermomix. So here we have it, our beautiful risotto, ready to eat. There we go. That was in 20 minutes start to finish. I wish you could smell it and I wish you could taste it, but hopefully you will be making this very soon in your own kitchen. Okay, so we've pretty much seen how guided cooking works. I just want to show you a few other features from our screen. So if we go in here, we will find our settings. In our settings is where you're going to do the majority of other things that aren't cooking really. So you have the option to change the language of your Thermomix if you wish to do so. You also can change the country or region of your Thermomix. This is the Wi-Fi button, so this is what you use to connect to Wi-Fi. This is your Cookie-Doo account, so it gives you all details of your Cookie-Doo account, and it even tells you when it expires. In the sounds, you can change the sound. You can put the volume up, you can put the volume down. You can actually choose how long you want the sound. So I've got it down as 30 seconds. You can have it for 10 seconds, you can have it for a minute, or even up for 10 minutes or more. You can change the melody. See? So we have a few different, and that's our standard sound. And if we go back, you also have a volume button here. So I've got it down to lowish, but you can have it higher. If we go back, okay, so now we have display. Now you can change the brightness of your display here. So So really it's just customizing your Thermomix to your liking. If we keep on going down, we have system of measurements, so you can change it between imperial and metric if you wish to do so. We have our privacy policy here that you can have a look, and if we keep going down, you can check here. This is where you can check to see if your updates are up to date, basically if there are any new updates in the software. Now the wonderful thing about TM6 is that the software can be added constantly. In fact, we added 2 new functions recently, so really your TM6 is a very smart appliance that will keep getting better and giving you more value for money. And then obviously here you have your factory reset. Now another one we haven't seen before is the transport mode, and this is if you take your Thermomix with you. Some people like to take it on holiday to their holiday homes or weekend cottage. You can close the lid, make it secure for you to take away with you. I'd like to tell you a little bit about our 5-star customer service with Thermomix. When you purchase other appliances in a shop, you pay for them, you take them home, and that's the end of the story. Now with Thermomix, you have lifetime support once you purchase a Thermomix. Now, for example, if you have any questions, if you have any doubts, I am your advisor. I'm here to support you, and you're very welcome to contact me at any time to ask any questions, or I can clear any doubts that you might have. We also offer a monthly newsletter which is sent to your email address. We offer free cooking classes in our head office in Ascot. We offer plenty of cooking classes, and in Brighton we tend to do a cooking class every 2 or 3 months to cater for those of you who can't make it all the way up to Ascot. I have my own pages as well on Facebook and Instagram. So my Facebook page is called Food in the Mix, and my Instagram page is called exactly the same, Food in the Mix. Now, I always post tips, tricks, recipes. I just want to inspire you to use Thermomix to your max. I'd love to hear from you on those pages as well. If you cook something amazing, if you love it, please share it, because we want to share it with other customers and other people. And basically, I'm here to support you all the way through your journey. If you have any friends or family who you think would like to see our cooking experience on video, please put them in touch with me or let me know, and I'd be more than happy to get in touch with them and show them what Thermomix can do. There's never any obligation, but it's just good for them to see how special Thermomix really is.